Hello. So you decided to understand how variables work in programming. Let's assume you have character with some health, let's say 100 at the beginning, and you want to hit your character with some damage, and as a result you expect that his health goes down. And let's see in the code what happens if you don't use any variables. Firstly, you can decide to display in console your character health. Secondly, you deal damage by subtracting some value from health. But what you can actually do is to replace all hard-coded health value with variable called health, and then simply use it everywhere you need. Even damage can be replaced with its own variable. Let's take a look in another example. In this case, we don't work with numbers. We actually want to display messages in chat. And again, without any variables, you just display them in console. And as a result, it limits your options to manipulate with data. So once again, let's replace it with variables. Let's take a look in another examples. For example, in this case, we plan to work with floating point numbers. And for this case, we use double as a type for weight. But what if we need to hold some state? And even for this we have appropriate type, which is called boolean, and can accept only two values, true or false. Now when we discussed the idea of variables, I want to explain how to choose right data type. Booleans we use for states. For example, if a viewer is subscribed or light is turned on. For whole numbers, we usually use integers. For example, to count amount of likes or maybe views. But sometimes we need to hold very huge numbers. And for this case, it's better to use long. For example, for timestamps or for distance in millimeters. For decimal numbers, you can use float. For example, for movie rating or for temperature. For very high precision values, for example, value for number pi, you can use double. Textual format you can hold in strings, for example, names or messages. If you need to hold only one symbol, then you can use char. There is also two more data types for numbers, byte and short. They are almost never used. Prefer int instead of them.